I'm happy that things have been resolved. And even though this is the final season, which it wasn't necessarily meant to, everything's wrapped up in a neat bow. I'm most curious, how was this possibly going to continue, given that things really do wrap up so nicely?
It wasn't. I mean, I knew a year ago that there was virtually no chance we were going to get a season five. We took a huge budget cut to go into season four, and I knew I would not do that again. Especially getting into season four, it did make it very difficult to do what we did. The key to the budget cuts is to take the budget cut and still produce the show in such a way that the audience doesn't know the difference, which is hard to do. I think we were mostly successful about it this year with a couple, spots, maybe not, but I think we did a really good job about it. But I really was sure that I was not going to do that again. It's not fair to the show. I think you get to the point where you're not doing the best version of the show that you should be doing. And at the point that the show suffers, then it just isn't right to keep going. So I knew that about a year ago that would be the case. I knew it early enough, put it this way, that I was able to, with the writing staff, arc out the season so it would be a finale. Now, look, if for some reason they picked it up or wanted to pick it up, we'd have that discussion. But there were so many hurdles between where we were and getting a fifth season. It was the budget issues, the cast contracts were up. I mean, there was a lot of things in the way of being able to do another season. I just didn't see it happening. And my biggest fear was that we would get the rug pulled out from underneath us without having an ending, without being able to finish telling the story. So we sort of just made the decision a year ago. I made the decision a year ago and then told everyone and everyone was on board of like, let's just at least, go out on our own terms and tell this story. And then as it turns out, we were right and they didn't pick it up. So I think it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it certainly doesn't feel like a season that, is bare bones or anything like that. As an
No.
audience member, I think it definitely holds up. I think I would have certainly loved to see more only because these characters are great and I know everyone enjoys playing them. Do you feel like the arcs got you to the same place, even if they might have been cut short from what you originally would have conceived of? Or is there a lot more that you would have explored that could have ended in a different space?
No, to be honest, I think it was very close. When I got into the show, I originally thought it was maybe 5 seasons and 10 episodes a season, 50 episodes. We ended up doing 4 seasons at 44 episodes. So it was pretty close. The truth is, the story we're telling, not to say that this series couldn't do other things, but the story we were telling that we started telling, that Harry comes down as an alien and learning humanity, we were getting to an ending point. I mean, Harry was learning a lot. And what I didn't want to do was delay Harry's growth to facilitate more seasons. I think I didn't have to truncate it, to be honest. I mean, we could have used a few more episodes maybe, but for the most part, I don't, I didn't really truncate it because Harry, the story we were telling of him was getting there. He was learning a lot, and I was about a season away. I think if they gave us 2 seasons, I could have done that over 2 seasons. But in a season, it really wasn't far off. I mean, to be able to, do the storytelling you need to do to get Harry to a place where he really understands what it's like to be human. And once he's at that place, then he can leave, and the story's over. Again, not to say that we couldn't tell a different story, not to be revealed uh, before the finale, but obviously, there was two main reasons why I knew Harry had to leave. One is because in the comics, at least at first, he didn't leave, so I wanted to be different than that. But also, if there is something in the future, be it were it to be another season, although unlikely, or a movie or something like that, a great kicking off point is Harry returns and comes back into the lives of these people 5 years later or something like that. So it was important to me. It just felt right that Harry left at the end because he's learned what he
Well,
needs to
especially
learn.
Absolutely. I think especially as a fan of this show's spiritual sibling, People of Earth, which did not get certainly the closure it deserved. It's nice to see Michael Cassidy again, and I am just so interested about what not what his contract look like, but like we're gonna have you for a few episodes. You're never gonna do anything great, and then we're gonna bring you back right at the end, kill you, but then you're gonna be this whole other. Tell me about Michael Cassidy and his involvement in this show.
I mean, he loves it. I knew Michael before this show. I actually lived in the same building with him in LA, and we were friends. I did an earlier pilot. I tried to cast him in. I was lucky to be able to get him in the earlier seasons of this show. He's a great guy and an incredible actor. And it was in figuring out the storyline of how this would end and wanting to bring back one final character, having it be him just solves a lot of problems because he's a great actor and I know he can pull it off. And I love that it brought his character back and wrapped up that story, albeit not in a kind way for the character. But when I pitched it to Cassidy, he just started laughing. He thought it was the funniest thing in the world. So yeah, it fits with the dark sort of comedic tone of the show. And it's even though the character tragically dies in the beginning, because he sort of becomes an alien and still looks like Michael Cassidy, it takes some of the stink off that, so it doesn't feel that bad. He's still sort of alive. So it worked out well, and he thought it was a blast and was thrilled to come back. And yeah, he was great.
That's great. Well, I think you've managed to get some pretty incredible guest stars over the course of the show. Alex Borstein, Stephen Root, Terry O'Quinn, Linda Hamilton, all these people. Is there anyone else that you feel like, really was a standout from, not the regular ensemble?
Well, Edie Patterson, I mean, incredible. That to me was the get of a lifetime. Yeah, when we were talking about that role of Heather, the love interest for Harry, and of course looped Alan into the conversations about that. And we were talking about names, and when he casually brought up Edie's name as one of the funniest people he's ever worked with, that sort of sealed the deal for me. And then I got on a video chat with her, and she was fantastic, and we got way more than I even thought we would. I mean, we were lucky across the board, like you said, with Linda and Terry and Clancy Brown, who's just one of the most incredible voiceover performers. George Takei, who we had in to do the voice of the Gray Alien. It was incredible. Jinx Monsoon playing Bruce this year. She was just astounding. I mean, fantastic. Like, there's just some great actors out there, and we were lucky to get a lot of them.
Well, it sounds like the door is open that should there be an appropriately funded and whatever opportunity
Yeah.
in the future, there could be more. But for now, what's next for you?
I have no plans right now. I sort of, I'm writing another pilot on my own, and seeing where that goes. But yeah, I purposely, knowing this was probably the last season, kind of mostly focused on this. And the way that you take a lower budget and make it seem like it's not a lower budget is everyone involved has to work 40% harder to make up the time. So it was a long season, but I'm excited to do something else. I mean, I've been on this project for 10 years, and it was a dream all the way through. But creatively, the thought of doing something new is also exciting. So I'll do something else.
Awesome. Well, thanks for a fun ride. I had a great time and looking forward to whatever it is that comes next for you.
Thanks, Abe, and thanks for your support all these years too.